Go ahead.
Before I start talking about the stars and objects seen in the constellation of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, I'm Allison Sapala, and I'm going to talk about the name of the constellation and some of the mythology behind the constellation. So, Ursa, according to the Columbia Encyclopedia, means bear, and then Ursa Major means greater, and then the minor means lesser. So some people end up referring to the Ursa Major as the greater bear and the Ursa Minor as the lesser bear. So according to the well-known nonprofit World Scientific Educational Organization, AAVSO, the Greek mythology of how Ursa Major and Ursa Minor came to be goes a little bit like this. So Zeus and Callisto, they were lovers, but Hera was married to Zeus. So, obviously that didn't turn out very well. Hera found out about the relationship, and Hera then changed Callisto into a bear. And she then forced Callisto to roam around the forest, just open around, kind of. Then Callisto came across a hunter, and she recognized that hunter as her son, Arcus. And as a mother would do, she went up to give him a hug, but she was a bear. So, Arcus, all he saw was a bear running towards him. So he decided to grab his spear and almost killed his mother. Luckily, Zeus was looking up from Mount Olympus, and he was watching the whole thing and turned Arcus into a bear before anything could happen. So Zeus knew that if Hera found out that he protected Callisto, she'd be frustrated. So he hid them by throwing them both into the sky by their tails. And so Callisto is Ursa Major because she's the mother and she's the larger bear. And then Arcus is Ursa Minor because he is the littler bear. Okay. So once Hera found out, she found out, and Zeus, she wanted to spite him. So she had the constellations so that they never set. So as a result, the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor are circumpolar, meaning that in the northern hemisphere, they can always be seen. There are some specific times of the year when they're better seen, such as Ursa Major is best seen around this time of March, April, and May, and then Ursa Minor is best seen during June. So using Stellarium, I found this picture, and Ursa Major belongs to the Ursa Major family, which is basically the constellations around the constellation Ursa Major. And so some of the constellations around it is Canis Venatici, Draco, Ursa Minor, Camelopardalis, Leo, and actually Leo is a really good reference frame for Ursa Major because Leo is a zodiac constellation, so a lot of people know it. It's very recognizable. You can also find Ursa Major by the asterism of the Big Dipper, which most people can find in the northern sky. And so also Ursa Minor is part of the Draco and Ursa Major as well. And you can actually find Ursa Minor by using Ursa Major. Specifically using Dubhe and Merak, two stars in the Big Dipper. And so by Dubhe and Merak right here, if you draw a line between those two and you extend it about 5 times, you'll get to Polaris. And Polaris is the brightest star in the Little Dipper or the Ursa Minor. So today's location. If you wanted to go and see these constellations today, obviously they're going to be there because they're always seen in the northern hemisphere. So if you look to the northeast area and you go up a little bit, Ursa Major will be seen on its handle. And to find Ursa Minor, we learned that we can just draw the line and find the Polaris, and then we can find Ursa Minor. Okay, so this group of stars. Can you see anything? Hopefully you can now. This is Ursa Major. I outlined it for you. And so here are a few of the stars and a little bit of facts about the stars in Ursa Major, according to Dominic Ford, an astronomer who is at the Institute of Astronomy in Cambridge, UK. And so Alioth is the brightest star in Ursa Major. It can be seen right in the middle, basically. Dubhe, that's the second brightest star in Ursa Major, and it's right on this corner, and it's a spectroscopic binary star. Alkaid, that is the third brightest star in the constellation. It's the easternmost star in Ursa Major, so it's all the way over here. And then, even though it doesn't look like it's the east in like real life. And then it's also a young sequence star. And then Mizar is actually very important because it was the first double star to ever be photographed. Merak, that's a main sequence star, and it's a suspected variable star as well. And then Seda, that's also a main sequence star, and it's estimated to be 300 million years old. So some of the deep sky objects in Ursa Major include Messier 109, which is a spiral galaxy with 3 satellite galaxies. The Owl Nebula, seen up at the top left, and that's basically just a nebula. There's also the Cigar Galaxy, which is a starburst galaxy. The Bodes Galaxy, which is a large spiral galaxy. The Pinwheel Galaxy, which is also a spiral galaxy. The NGC 5474, which is a dwarf spiral galaxy. And the Messier 108, which is a barred spiral galaxy. Some other interesting facts about Ursa Major is that there are meteor showers. One is called Alpha Ursa Majoris, and the other is Leonids Ursids. And it's also, Ursa Major is the third largest constellation in the sky. It's also got 13 stars with confirmed planets within the constellation, and it's not a zodiac constellation. Okay, so here's another picture of the sky. Ursa Minor was in there! That's so cool! So, looking at this group of stars, according to Ford again, some of the main stars in Ursa Minor is Polaris, which is known as the North Star. And this North Star is known as a multiple star, and it's also known as a variable star, and it was used for navigation way back in the day when they didn't have compasses. Some other stars is Iridalis, and Iridalis is a variable star. And then the Guardians of the Pole are basically named that because they circled around Polaris. And that is Kochab, and that is actually the brightest star in the bowl of the Dipper, so you can see over there it's the brightest. And then Percad is actually a shelf star and a supergiant, which is super cool. The main sequence stars are as follows. They're basically the other ones. There's not really too much information about them, but still cool. And some deep sky objects in Ursa Minor is the Ursa Minor Dwarf Galaxy, and the Ursa Minor Dwarf Galaxy is a dwarf galaxy. It's basically a small galaxy. The NGC 6217 is a barred spiral galaxy, and NGC 6251 is a supergiant elliptical radio galaxy. And then finally, Ursa Minor, some more information about Ursa Minor is that there's one meteor shower, and that's the Ursids, and it's the 56th largest constellation, so it's not very big. It has 4 stars with confirmed planets, and it is also not a zodiac constellation. So overall, these 2 constellations are very interesting and very noticeable in our night sky. So if you want to go look outside and go up and look, hopefully this helped you know a little bit more about it.